Better check them out. All right. Klay Thompson signs a 3-year, $50 million deal with the Dallas Mavericks yesterday, and it becomes a sign and trade in which the Warriors get a couple second-round picks, and they get a $16 million trade exception, which they could divvy up into 2 players if they want, one for $8 million, one for $8 million. We'll see about that. One for $9 million, one for $7 million. But obviously, it's going to be a Klay Thompson day, and we're going to celebrate the great career of Klay Thompson. We kind of saw this coming. Now, there's a lot of think pieces out there about what happened last season, and we'll get to all that. Whether or not he was exhausted in the locker room and whether or not he was a cancer. I've seen that word thrown around multiple times, but the reality is here, and it's not going to sink in for quite some time, Shasky, until we actually see him in the Mavericks uniform on the court. But Klay Thompson's gone. One of the members of the Big Three. One of the most dynamic trios in NBA history. A trio that's won 4 championships. It's now no more. It's just Draymond and Steph and the Golden State Warriors. So Klay goes to the Mavericks for $50 million. And I can't believe it's Dallas, Shasky. Honestly, I can't believe it's Dallas.
Why do you say that?
We were talking about them last week, and their cap was just jacked up. They're $50 million over the cap, and I thought they were a dark horse, but I didn't think they could get under the cap or find the available funds to sign Klay Thompson. And yet, here we are talking about Klay Thompson playing next to Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Just unbelievable.
Well, I want to start with Klay and the Warriors. You know, a lot of stuff has been coming out in the last 48 hours. You had kind of not predicted, but you were, fearful that some of the negative reports were going to come out. This is what happens in a divorce. Like, I don't know how many people that are about our age that have been divorced or anything like that, because we know, like, people growing up, parents being divorced and stuff, but you're not cognizant of seeing someone kind of go through it. And a wise man had a line that's something along the lines of, like, let's say a couple was together for 10 years. Well, once they get separated, they've been trying to divorce each other for 5. Now, I don't know if that's exactly the case here with Klay and Golden State, but it does feel like there's bad blood on both ends in terms of a sour taste. And it does suck. You want your legends to go out on top, but not everybody has that John Elway, finger up in the air, jogging off the field, winning a Super Bowl. So very few times do you get to go out on your own accord and go out on top with everybody feeling good. And it sucks that this is kind of going down the way it is. And
it is.
The thing that I'm, I guess, most bothered by, like, we could talk about the player that he's become the last couple of years. I don't think the final end games, whether it's the Lakers the year before that series or whether it's the 0 for 10 game, those aren't the defining moments of the last couple of years. It's the body of work, and there's a lot that's baked into it. And I just think it's disrespectful is too strong, but I just think it's too easy to just point at the end of the year. It's the same way I wouldn't sign Chase Young based off of one Super Bowl good game.
Right.
They didn't get rid of Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson isn't somewhere else because of going 0 for 10 against the Kings in the playing game. It's bigger than that. And so, you've been kind of alluding to this, that both parties kind of needed to turn the page. It just felt like there was so much stuff underneath, whether it's the negotiation, how things went, respect during the negotiation, pecking order on the roster, players playing, the role, and people not being on the same page regarding the role. I think a bigger thing that no one's really bringing up, the evolution of the roster outside of him and how it doesn't, his role is evolving so much, it doesn't fit as well. Like, there's so many things that go into play here. But I do want to give the guy a little bit of dignity on the way out the door. I mean, you're talking about an all-time legend. Again, in our lifetime, for some people, he's their favorite player, but he's 1, 2, 3, or 4 in terms of greatest Warriors in the last 45 years.
Not even close.
Right?
Not even close.
And depending on where you rank him, but where you put Durant or where you put Mully or whatever. But like
Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, but like, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about a legend. And so it has been a little nasty, some of the stuff that I've seen. And look, sometimes you just have to wish someone their best in their new destination and let it play out.
Right, no doubt.
I feel like that's where we're at.
Yeah, let it play out. And I like, the Melton kid. We're not going to talk much about him today, but I like the Melton kid. I've always watched him liked him in Memphis. I'm not going to say he's going to replace Klay Thompson in the shooting or whatnot. We're not talking about that. He's a different type of player. But, if they add somebody here to the roster, because the offseason is still not over, and I know they're working hard to try to get a Lauri Markkanen in this system. The sweepstakes for Lauri Markkanen with the Utah Jazz is heating up here. We'll see what the Warriors do with this roster. But in terms of Klay Thompson and the 11 seasons he played, obviously he missed 2 years, and we're going to do a King of the Hill my top 7 Klay moments.
Oh, nice.
And look, there's a lot of moments. And reliving some of those moments last night, Shasky, watching all the videos and watching all the highlights and watching all the interviews, just put a smile on my face because I don't want to remember the Klay Thompson we've seen the last 2 years. I don't want to remember the mood swings. I don't want to remember, some of the post-game pressers that made some people uncomfortable. I don't want to remember him coming off the bench and, lighting it. I want to remember the good times. I want to remember, and I think we get so caught up. The Bob Myers quote, when we had Bob Myers what was that, a couple months ago? We had Bob Myers, and we asked him, have you been able to sit back and cherish the championship runs? And he said, Bonte and Joe, I haven't been able to do that yet. And I started thinking, damn, it feels like Klay, those 13 years have gone by so fast. I haven't been able to sit back and really enjoy the great times. You see so many moments that you forget about, like the fadeaway game-winning jumper in Indianapolis against the Pacers where Mark Jackson was coaching, and he called it isolation. What about the moments against Houston where him and Steph double James Harden? He throws it to Dwight Howard in Game 1 in the Western Conference Finals. Dwight Howard throws it back to James Harden. They can't get his shot off. You forget so many subtle, fun moments. And I'm like, damn, did I sit back and appreciate the good times of Klay Thompson? I know about the 37-point quarter. We know about that, but there's so many other games and so many other moments and so many other game winners that I'm like, I just hope I sat back and appreciated not only the Klay Thompson run, but the entire dynastic run as it's coming to an end, as we turn a new leaf with Draymond and Steph and the Kumingas and the Pajimskis or whatnot. And so maybe today's not the day to do that. Maybe next year's not the year to do it. But I was thinking to myself, damn, it went by so fast. Did I, Bonte Hill, appreciate every good moment that Klay had?
Let me answer. Most of us don't appreciate what we have in real time. I just look at our society, right? Just before, let me just say, what do most people do? They live through their phone recording everything. I do this, and I'm guilty of it. When do you ever actually live in the moment and soak it in? We just don't.
It's tough.
We don't. We're just not. We're not in that society. We want to, record it and try to live it back later, but we never go back and view it.
Yep.
The one big thing that I do want to get into, and I think that this is an important part of Klay's legacy with the Warriors. And I've seen a lot of people. The regular person is never going to relate to the athlete for a variety of reasons. There's the money, there's all that. But you have to understand.
I try to explain that all the time. It's just, they thirst for normalcy, and we thirst to get rich, and they're thirsting to be just a normal human being. And I was thinking about this, I always say, they can't just walk into a Starbucks like we can.
No.
They want to.
How many people do you know, the profession that they're doing right now to pay bills and make a living or whatever is truly the thing that they love more than anything else in the world?
Don't know.
Not many. And I'm not trying to rib, you and I are very lucky. We love our job and we're very lucky to be able to come in here. It's something I'm very grateful for and I'm very appreciative. Most athletes that are at the highest level have a fire and dedication to that sport that we almost can't fathom. That's number one. And so when I see someone like D Ford or when I see someone like Klay Thompson and their body goes out on them and they are getting quote unquote compensated while being injured, I don't think the average person can even understand how difficult that is. You have taken away the thing that they love the most. And someone like Klay Thompson, and I don't want to get too psychological and down the road, he's not married. He doesn't have kids. His life is basketball.
Yep.
He is defined in more than maybe other guys in the league. His life has been defined by basketball. And I was thinking about what would cause someone great turmoil. Being injured, if you have a lot of other interests or you're well-rounded or you have a family, there are things that you could take your mind away to kind of ease some of that pain. It's not going to bring it all back, but you can ease some of it. I can't imagine the journey this guy went through, and I've seen so much rhetoric. Well, they did pay him $50 million a year to rehab it.
That up.
What?
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
The thing that I don't think people understand, and I didn't either until I walked onto a field and I saw D Ford and I could see like this guy loved football more than anything I loved in my life, and it was taken away from him by his body, and it's not his fault, and he was trying everything he could to get back out there, and I couldn't imagine going through that turmoil. Now, most people are sitting back and they're listening to me and they're going, Joe, give me $50 million to sit on the sidelines. And I say, okay, let's say it's your family, because in this equation, Klay's family is basketball. That is his life, is basketball. Rip that away from you for 2 years. There is no compensation package. There's no amount of money for me to take my son away from me or my wife away from me. There's nothing that you could compensate me that would make me feel good. Now, that's what Klay went through. Now, I'm speaking on his behalf. Again, I don't want to get too psychological.
No. I want to add to this.
Is an important context.
I want to add to this because that was your first time ever going down to training camp. Joe Shasky, that was your first time ever going down to training camp. And I remember I was like, dude, come to camp with me. Come to camp with me. And I remember you almost flaked on me. You didn't want to go. You came down to training camp with me. And to see the behind-the-scenes look at what these athletes say, I saw your face with, D4, get on the road. He goes, I need to get right first.
The guy's working on a sled by himself for an hour and a half, just banging the sled nonstop.
And I saw your face. And for you, the fan, I said, oh, Joe now gets it. You now get it. Because people say, oh, you get paid for nothing. You get paid to sit in your ass. Klay went through a rigorous rehab program. How many days on a treadmill? How many days running? How many days with Rick Celebrini, Dr. Rick Celebrini? How the hell did he get close to James Wiseman to get James Wiseman on the boat? Because they're rehab buddies. You're doing the same tedious things every day. You can't even walk, so you're going through the fundamentals of just walking again.
It's very lonely.
You're learning how to run again, and it's a very lonely process as Steph Curry and Draymond and all these guys are playing basketball, and you see them losing to play a tournament, and you're saying to yourself, I can't help them. And then remember the moment where I think they played the Portland Trailblazers, and Klay was on his way to returning. And Steph and Dre and Steve Kerr had to go back out to chasing her and console Klay Thompson on the bench by himself as he's crying, thinking about, I just can't wait to get back. It was like 900 days at that point or something like that, as he missed 941 days. And he's sitting there emotional, and they had to come out and say, Klay, it's going to be all right. You're coming back soon. You're coming back soon. Because that gift of playing the game at the highest level, when he got hurt, he was playing the game at the highest level. That was snatched from him for 2 years. And as he's making his return, boom, you get hurt on James Wiseman draft night after tearing your ACL and missing the season. So you missed 2 years. And so that moment where D Ford is on that field, and I saw your face, and I said, see, Joe, this is what the professional athlete goes through. So when people say, oh, it's just $50 million, oh, you're a pro athlete, you get everything. Well, what about everything that comes with it? The noise, the rehab, the practice. What if you re-injure yourself? When you're going out there to rehab, how many times do you think Klay Thompson thought, boy, can I really cut like this? Can I jump? Can I run? What if I re-injure myself? Which is why he didn't work out the entire offseason after the championship. Now he worked out, he just didn't play 505. But I understood why. The guy is petrified of re-injuring himself after a championship. Now, it hurt the team, and it hurt him coming back that season, but I understood why, Shasky. Well, and so when people say, well, it's just, you got paid $86 million to do this, you got paid $86 million to do that, money doesn't always buy happiness, even at the highest level, even with the richest people. Money doesn't always buy happiness, folks.
Especially when things are out of your control. And again, this is not a good comp. And people are going to be like, Joe, what are you talking about? But I mean this. Like, my wife and I tried to have a child for the longest time. We were doing great professionally. I've never done better professionally. We had everything. It's not like we're millionaires. We're not in any stretch. But we couldn't have a kid. You know what I mean? It took forever. And so to not be able to have control on that aspect of my life literally made me depressed 24/7, 365. All right. And to your point about social media yesterday, you open up social media and everybody you see has got something that you can't have. So that to equivalency is what Klay Thompson was going through. The one thing that he wanted in his life was to be on that court. And you could tell that did change him. And you get compensated. There's no doubt, but it doesn't give you happiness and it doesn't fill the void of something that you care about more than anything in the world. And I'm looking from afar. I've never met Klay Thompson, but similar to Durant, Everything about his own self-worth is baked into his impact on a basketball court. And when you remove that from an individual's life, imagine how depressed that they can become. And, I think about that so much, and all the stuff that's happened since those injuries. I just think we need to be a little more graceful because we don't understand what he went through, and myself included.
It's never too late to acknowledge that. But in real time, and this is why over the last 2 years I've been really worked up about Klay Thompson. We had some nasty Klay Thompson arguments where it gets contentious, right? It almost feels like it gets personal sometimes on the show when it comes to Klay Thompson, because that same thing that you just explained about going through the mental hurdles of getting back was something I tried to relay to this fan base over and over again, which is why I gave Klay the benefit of the doubt. Because I understood what the hell the guy was going through. Because I understood that you get back on the court after 941 days, and the NBA is completely different. And Jordan Poole's coming, and everybody's having a pool party. And you see them start 18-2, and you're not there to help. And then you come back, and things get a little rocky with the basketball team. And all of a sudden, Draymond gets hurt or whatnot. And I understood where Klay was at mentally thinking, boy, I'm just not the same. I thought I was going to be able to come back and just be an all-star again. I thought I'd be able to come back and become one of the most deadliest two-way players in this league. I thought I was going to come back and be able to guard Damian Lillard and Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. And when those powers get stripped from you and you're batting lit, not only are you coming back from a 2-year absence, but not even to a 2.5 season absence, and then you're battling the mental hurdle of not being yourself again. So when the last time you played basketball, you're dropping 30 points in 3 quarters. And then you come back and you can barely jump. You come back and you got the headband on you, your lateral movement is gone. And so that's why I got a little upset over the last 2 years with Klay Thompson, thinking, do you understand what the guy's gone through? And not only that, he's one of our homegrown athletes. Would we have done Ronnie Lott like this? Would we have done Dwight Clark like this? Would we have done, I don't know, Will Clark like this? Or Robbie Thompson? Or some of the greats of the greats in this region? And it just felt like, man, we just reigned on top of Klay over and over and over. And now all of a sudden you're starting to see the hit pieces. Well, you know what? Klay Thompson's going to go to a situation where they're going to walk the ball up the floor. They're going to play at a slower pace, which I think benefits his legs because he doesn't have to do all that running that he did with the Golden State Warriors. And it's going to be wide open off of dribble drive penetrations from Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. And he's going to get wide open 3-point shots. So he's going to go to a basketball place where Jason Kidd is really, and that's the thing. Jason Kidd, think about what he's done with Kyrie Irving and Luka and that organization. Jason Kidd might be the perfect coach for Klay Thompson moving forward here. But back to Klay Thompson and the Warriors, I just can't believe that it's really over. That we're not going to see number 11 and the Warriors are going to retire his number. Nobody's going to ever wear number 11 again, as you should. But I just can't believe, Shasky, for the life of me, that it's over, and that I just hope that fans really appreciated the grind and the greatness that he gave us here for over 13 seasons, man. 13 years.
It's going to be hard to really put it in its proper place. But to be fair here, and look, I'm granting them all these liberties. The Warriors are at times culpable of some of the, not just behavior, but just some of the ways that they went about trying to ease him back to the team. I felt like they put too much on his plate at times, and maybe that was their reasoning because they understood some of his own mental hurdles. Like, there's a lot going on. Klay, at times, I'm sure he's going to look back at some of his actions, reactions, demeanor, and he's going to have some regret. Like, we all have regret in life. No one's perfect. Nobody's perfect. I don't think in this situation, the Warriors are wrong or Klay is wrong. Right. I think it's a little bit of both. And I think sometimes when you have these kinds of divorces and you have these kinds of issues, this is life. Not everyone stays in every company for 50 years and retires happily and has a beautiful pension and is smiling on the way out the door and has no issues. Mostly in life, things are kind of ugly at the end. And both sides try to win the divorce. You know, like this is human nature. You try.
I don't know if it's that deep with Klay Thompson though. Trying to win the divorce.
No, I'm saying publicly.
I hear you. I know publicly.
People
I know.
want to have a winner and a loser.
The narrative and
That's
whatnot.
all.
Yeah,
I don't mean from the individual parties. I mean from the people observing from afar. Oh, that person's doing better in life, so they won the divorce, or that person's doing lesser than they lost the divorce. In this one, it's like
people really do that. I don't. So me personally,
I mean, I just think Instagram is one of those things that it just feels like it's a measuring stick for everyone, a fake one.
Because I honestly, in my life, I don't know a lot of people who are. I know a lot of married people, but I don't know a lot of people who've been divorced. Like older people, maybe, like people that I work with here. Obviously, Dan Dilly talks about it, and Mark Willard talks about it. That's it. Like my close friends. I don't know a lot of people who have been divorced, so I don't know like whether or not. Hey, man. She's doing great. I'm doing greater. She's doing. Well,
there's a posing that you see on social media, Facebook.
That's so damn immature.
But that's what everyone does. I know. I agree with you. But I think this is like where I'm looking at this now. And now you're seeing all these people talk on both sides. You're hearing people from Klay's perspective talk. You hear people from the Warriors' perspective talk. This is what I would just say to everybody.
Have we heard people from Klay's perspective talk?
It just feels like there are people that are saying that, you know, they didn't offer him the level of respect that he maybe deserved. And I do want to get into what a franchise owes someone, because I think there's a misnomer about ownership in sports and how much they owe players. It's kind of already written in how this works.
Don't
and I
miss
don't
that
think
break,
people
doggy.
understand it. But my larger point is like, guys, enjoy the good times. I'm rooting for him in Dallas. Obviously not when he plays the Warriors, but I'll be rooting for him. We're going to give him a standing ovation. It is what it is.
Yeah.